and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage United States Senator Jim Webb. How are you? It's a wonderful to be with you. Let me begin by saying I'm well aware that we are supposed to be out of here by 2 o'clock. There's a play coming in tonight. And I had my chance last night for about 2.5 hours to meet with many of you in a wonderful appreciation reception. So I'm not going to cover a lot of ground that already has been covered in great detail. I will start off by saying this is a chance for me to say a couple of things. The first is how much I appreciate everything that all of you did to help us get elected 6 years ago. When we talk about legacy, I look at, some people say even early on your legacy is going to be a bridge, or your legacy is going to be a college, or it's going to be named after me, George Mason did. But I said, no, my legacy is going to be the people who work with me. The people who work with me, we're going to get a feeling for the style of leadership, the philosophy of governance that we brought, and the results that we tried to bring to our country. And those of you who were with us as volunteers in the brigades, would you raise a hand here? I want to thank you, thank you, thank you. Everything that we were able to do in the last nearly 6 years was enabled by the work of the people on the ground during the campaign. We hear this said again and again, but I don't think there is a clearer example of how people, rather than money, won a campaign than our campaign 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I began, as you know, 9 months to the day before the election with no money, no campaign staff, and a set of issues that I believe faced this country that we needed to work together in order to resolve. We needed to address the issues of national strategy and our foreign policy, which had gone astray. We needed to address the issues of economic fairness and social justice, that were the eyes of which had been cast on other issues. We needed to address the issues of accountability in our federal government. People began to believe in what we were saying. They began to talk to other people. And even by the end of the campaign, we were outspent 2-1. But we won. And you're going to face this year, we're going to face the same types of financial situations. Mark mentioned the Citizens United case and the impact that it's going to have on independent expenditures, anonymous expenditures, negative ads. That's what I call an air campaign. Our last campaign faced the same thing. They had their money for an air campaign. I'm a former Marine infantryman. I believe the ground campaign. We got the ground campaign. I will be with you. We're campaigning for our candidates. We have the message, and we're going to win. When I think about what we did, what was enabled by the energy in this campaign, we had this video last night, many of you were there, that I had not seen till last night, very moving to me, talking about showing the campaign, showing what we said we were going to do, and showing how we did what we said we were going to do. First, all of you know, all of you will remember, the United States Senate became under the control of the Democratic Party. Immediately, within weeks after our election, I was able to give the rebuttal to the President of the United States in the State of the Union address. And they put economic fairness and social justice in front of the American political system in a way that they could not ignore any longer. My first day in office, I introduced a GI Bill. I had written that GI Bill with Legislative Council before I was in office. Within 16 months, despite strong opposition, believe it or not, from the other party, We enacted that legislation. It is the best piece of veterans legislation in the history of this country. More than 1 million veterans are now believing in a first-class chance at the future because of that legislation. We were told during the campaign, and many of you will remember this, we were told, you can't talk about criminal justice reform. They were telling me, whispering in my ear, you're committing political suicide in Virginia if you say that our criminal justice system has gone wrong. My response was, how can you not talk about a system where you have 5% of the world's population and 25% of the world's prison population? Either we are the most evil people on earth or we're doing something wrong. We have to talk about it. We began the debate in our office, in the Senate, as soon as I took office. We held hearings on the economic impact of this type of skewing in our criminal justice system. We actually held a conference right here at George Mason on the impact of enforcement of drugs policy, on incarceration, and on our country. We've met in our office with more than 100 representatives of different organizations nationwide from across the philosophical spectrum. And we introduced legislation to get a commission, a national commission, that hadn't been done since the late 1960s to examine every different aspect of the criminal justice system. We made it acceptable to discuss the flaws in our criminal justice system. Even the Republicans are comfortable talking about the criminal justice system now. That is a victory. We will get the legislation before I leave. Senator Reid said he will give another vote for me on it. And we have changed the debate because of the support that you gave us when I came in. We began to lead office in terms of reorienting the United States relationship in the vital region of Northeast and Southeast Asia. This region had become ignored with the policies in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's the most vital region for our country in terms of economic and national security. We spent a great deal of time working with the leadership of the countries in all this region. We've worked with Japan, Korea, Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia, the ASEAN countries. And in 2009, we made an historic visit to Burma for the first time in 10 years, an American leader meeting with the leadership of Burma. We changed it from Aung San Suu Kyi, Nobel Prize winner, who was a political prisoner when I came there in 2009, has not only been freed because of the change in the policy in Burma, she is now an elected representative in their government. Yes. None of those things, from my heart, would have been possible without the support of the people here, and that is our objective also this year. I'd like to end this brief conversation with you with a reflection about something that happened to me earlier this year. Many of you know what a great friend former Senator and future Senator Bob Kerrey has been to me. He was one of the reasons that I decided to take the leap of faith and run for the Senate. He actually told me, he brought me up to his office in New York at the time. We've known each other for many years. He told me, since my background has been as a writer, he said, you can write and be in the Senate. He said, Daniel Patrick Moynihan wrote 17 books when he was in the Senate. I know Daniel Patrick Moynihan was much more prolific writer than I am. I don't know how that happened. But I had the opportunity earlier this year to go to Nebraska and to campaign with Bob Kerrey. And it was one of these serendipitous moments where I got to Omaha, Nebraska on a Saturday afternoon, and I graduated from high school in Nebraska. My father was stationed there in the Air Force. I fought Golden Gloves in Omaha. And I met Bob Kerrey for the first event. It was a veterans event at University of Nebraska at Omaha, which used to be called Omaha University. And I realized it was graduation day. And I realized this was the anniversary of when My father had graduated from the University of Omaha when I was a senior in high school, many, many years ago, when I looked at all the young people walking around in their graduation gowns, and I could not help but reflect on my father. Any of you ever seen the movie The Great Santini? With my dad, who was a wild military pilot. Watching my dad walk through the line with all these younger people. I was sitting in the bleachers at the University of Omaha basketball court. He got his diploma. He broke out of line. He walked across the basketball court directly to me in front of all these people. I went, oh no, he's really going to do this. And he did. He walked up and he stuck that diploma in my face. He said, you can get anything you want in this country, and don't you ever forget it. And what we need to remember as members of the Democratic Party is that that is true, but it is only true as long as our leaders protect the ability of everyone to have open access to the benefits of our great society. I love this country. I love this country. I'm so grateful for all of the benefits that my family has been able to have generation by generation through a lot of ups and downs. That well, because of our system in this country. But I will never forget that only if we have leaders who understand the necessity to give those people who don't have a voice in the quarters of power. If we don't have that, we will not preserve the system that is designed to be the United States of America. That is our goal. That is our goal. You know, I can never give a speech like this without mentioning Andrew Jackson, who I believe is one of the great leaders in our history. He was a founder of the modern Democratic Party. He established the premise that you measure the health of a nation not at the apex, but at the base. Not on Wall Street, but on Main Street. And he said, the rich and the powerful can take care of themselves, but the poor and the helpless need the arm and the shield of the law. And that arm and that shield, historically, has always come from the Democratic Party. This is our challenge this year. Because the opponents of our people, from the very top all the way down, aren't bad people. They love their country. I understand that. They want to do the right thing. But they don't carry that same premise inside them when they run. We have to do our job. I will be there to do the job with you. We know what the issues are. And I predict, let me make a public prediction. I predict, if we all do our jobs, Tim Kaine is going to be my successor in the Senate by a margin of about 5% or maybe more. Thank you very much.